Thank you for coming here today to celebrate the life of Roy Coutinho. Roy was my big brother for a long time, as long as I can remember. I can't tell you anything about Roy's early years because Roy was 5 years older. He was blessed with a little brother, me. My earliest memory was when our first TV was delivered. I was 3 years old. The empty box was sitting on the side, so I crawled in. Roy stood the box upright, and I was trapped in my own little cell. There was teasing and fears to follow. It's taken 70 years for me to get even. John Roy D. Sequeira Coutinho is written on his birth certificate. The name Roy was after Mr. Leroy Grumman, the founder of Grumman Aircraft Company, where our dad worked. I think Dad was trying to get some brownie points. D. Sequeira was added, being a good Portuguese tradition, from our grandfather, Joachim. At some point, perhaps when he joined the Navy, Roy changed his name. John Roy D. Sequeira Coutinho became Roy S. Coutinho. Much easier. He didn't tell me. My birth certificate says Alan D. Sequeira Coutinho. When I joined the Air Force, they thought one long last name. They made a name tag for my uniform that said D. Sequeira Coutinho in one word. It was this long. Every Christmas vacation, we would drive down to Fort Lauderdale. Dad enjoyed naps on the beach and the quiet time to relax. Roy went scuba diving, fishing, spent a lot of time in the water. I played in the sand and was stung by jellyfish. We tried to open coconuts that had fallen on the ground. Coconuts are impossible to open. Dad took us to a hardware store and said we could pick out one tool that we thought could open a coconut. I asked for a crowbar. Roy wanted a machete. He split that coconut with one shot. Roy was very inventive, especially when he had soldering tools in his hands. He used his soldering gun to melt the ends of plastic dry cleaner bags. Then he hooked the hose up to our kitchen stove and filled the bags with natural gas, creating balloons. He and his friends would release the balloons from the neighborhood. Once he attached a postage-paid envelope to the balloon and it was returned from 50 miles away. Another time, he found some magnesium ribbon and he attached it to the balloon and he ignited it. You could see the burning strip for miles and you could hear the police sirens getting louder. Roy was a ham radio operator. He started by building Heathkit walkie-talkies. Everyone in our scout troop built one to communicate on hikes. Roy's ham radio needed a 20 by 20 foot antenna on top of a 30-foot tower on our house. The antenna had an electric motor to rotate it. Our mom used to rotate it when people walked to church every Sunday. Everyone would look up and laugh at the huge moving monster. At Christmas time, we put a 5-foot star with lights on top of the tower. Roy and I would go to the local dump and retrieve old TV sets and radios. He filled his room with all the extra parts. He still has them.
Yeah.
Roy joined Boy Scout Troop 166, which met across the street. He had a lot of friends and really enjoyed camping. Again, I followed in his footsteps, and we went to summers at Camp Woypex, the local camp on Long Island. Mom would drive us there and always stop for coffee at Aunt Elsie's house, which was conveniently halfway. Since Roy attended a military high school, they had a rifle range in the basement. He became an excellent marksman. Camp Wojpex asked him to run the range and teach scouts how to properly shoot rifles for their marksmanship merit badge. It was really cool having a big brother run the gun range. His other responsibility at camp was to run a spotlight that was mounted in a tree at the Lake Theater for parent night shows. Later, I inherited that job. The Coutinho brothers had a 7-year monopoly on the spotlight. I expanded that lighting experience to light shows for disco dances at school and college. Roy gets credit for teaching me yet another skill. I tried to follow in Roy's footsteps. He went to Xavier, I went to LaSalle. Both are New York City high schools, requiring us to commute to the big city. This met Dad's educational standards of being taught by Jesuit priests and Christian brothers. So my big brother Roy taught me how to get to school. He took me for the first time on the Long Island Railroad and then the subway for the hour-and-a-half ride to school, each way, not the normal yellow school bus. In school, we shared a common hatred for Latin. Dad felt it was a requirement to grow up in the world. I don't know about Roy, but it killed the Romans, and I haven't used it yet. In 1967, we shared a road trip to Canada to visit the Montreal World's Fair. Dad let us drive his brand new Volvo. We found a campground and had a great time at the fair. It was a memorable adventure with my big brother. Roy went into the Navy. He was very proud to be a Navy beach jumper. Like the copycat that I was, I followed Roy's footsteps into the military, but I chose the Air Force. I like airplanes. When Roy was on the USS Pritchett, he stopped in Hong Kong and he bought a Nikon camera and mailed it to me for Christmas. It was the best 35mm camera in the world, and I took pictures of all the school newspapers and yearbook publications in our school. I would take a roll of pictures every day, process them at night in the dark room that Roy helped me build. Roy's generous gift made all of this possible. Roy was the best man at our wedding in Hoosick Falls in June of 1973. Judy had the good sense to stay home because Laura was about to be born.
Sorry.
Late.
In his best big brother, best man fashion, Roy was there for me. But most of all, Roy deserves many thanks for training our parents so that I could get away with murder. I was very lucky to have my big brother lead the way. Thank you, Roy. And finally, as they say in the Navy, I wish him farewell and following seas. Roy, may you rest in peace. Thank you for coming and celebrating this wonderful life of my big brother, John Roy de Sequeira Coutinho. Thank you.